Hello, welcome to my first class. My name is Doris Horenstein. I am an Israeli, born in Israel, raised in Israel, served in the Israeli army, and came to the United States 30 years ago. And I've been in Jewish education from pretty much the moment that I've come to America. I never thought that there is a secret language by using the Hebrew language. I spoke the language, and only when I start studying it, I realized the power that is behind the letters. And today, I am so thrilled to share with you some of those beautiful secrets. I hope you will enjoy this session. Thank you so much for trusting me and bringing me into your home. And let's begin. But before we do, I would like to tell you some of the things that you have received in your PDF file. So I will make connections to it over and over again. So this is the first thing. It will be just a chart with all the Hebrew letters, and each and every one of you has that. You can see the sound that it makes underneath, and the numbers on the top are the numerical value of the word, and I'll explain that as we go. The other thing you're going to see is a chart that I've made, which is called the language of intent, the power and secrets of the Aleph Bet. Okay, and Hebrew is designed in such a way that every letter has a particular name to it, just like the ABC. The shape of it is different. The sound that it makes could be different. The numerical value, and I'll get to it in a second, as a particular number. As you can see, it starts with 1, it will go to 10, it will be then 20, 30, 40 to 100, and it will be 100, 200, 300, 400. Okay, the last letter is worth 400. We will discuss that. The meaning of the actual letter, and then something's really special is that I created another column here, which is the first time that letter appear as the first letter in a word in the Torah. Okay, not as a prefix or a suffix, but as a whole word to itself, and which also gives us a little bit of an insight into what that letter means. Okay, so you will have that, and we will make constant correlation into this chart, so make sure you have that. And also, the other thing that I will have for you is these two charts like this. Okay, these two charts like this. One of them is the block letters, which is this one, the block letters, and this is the cursive letters. Okay, and again, this is the blocks right here, and then the cursive like that. And while we will not use the cursive, I wanted you to see how it looks so you can compare it, and maybe one day, if you want to learn how to write Hebrew, we can go into this. But for this particular session, we will deal with these letters, which are the block letters, which is exactly the way it is in the Torah, in our Bible, right? This is the way books are written, right? Not the other way. This way, the cursive, is how Israelis would write to one another. This is how we write letters, we write notes. We'll use this. Okay. Later on, maybe I'll teach you about what's the origin of this and how it became to be. Okay, but not right this minute. In addition, each and every one of you is going to get a list of words that are on cards like that. You are going to cut them, and you're going to have a little index cards with words like that. We will go over some of these words in the next 3 sessions, and you will learn a lot through those. You will learn how to say them, okay? You'll learn what it means, and you learn why is it so significant, okay? My assumption is that you are a beginning learner. You know nothing, and I am beginning to teach you everything that I know as far as the Hebrew from the secret code. Okay, so I'm not teaching you how to read Hebrew fluently. This is not this course. This course is about learning the meaning behind the letters. Okay. Now, Hebrew, let's take it a step back. Hebrew is written from right to left. Okay, Hebrew is written. So you can see here, these are the 22 letters in the Hebrew Aleph Bet. Aleph Bet, like Alpha and Beta, right? Aleph Bet. So it starts here. and it goes all the way. This is to here, and then it starts here, goes all the way to here, and then it goes here, and 3 more. Okay? I just put this for you here because this word says shalom, which means hello, and it means goodbye, and it means peace. So if there's one word you're going to learn really right away is shalom, like hello. So if I say shalom, I want you to repeat back to me, shalom. I heard you. It was fabulous. Okay, so shalom. Now, Hebrew language does have vowels, but when we talk about the letters, we talk only about consonant, and that is really different than the English language. For example, the English language have vowels like E, A, I, O, U, right? In Hebrew, those sounds are considered vowels, but they're not consonants. Therefore, they're not letters. And this is how they look. I just want you to show you. So when we one day are going to learn how to read Hebrew, let me see this. And then there is 2 more that are different, that are right here and right here. See these red things? They are the sounds that it makes. So if you want to say an ah versus an o versus an u, you use this. Okay? But the Hebrew letters, which are the consonants, are these black letters. And this is what we are concentrate on this time. Okay? Now, it's really interesting and really fun to know that Hebrew letters, while we have 22 letters, there are 5 letters that are final letters, which means there are 5 here, and we will get to them, that have a partner. And that partner appears at the end of a word. So in this word shalom, there's one already. This one. This is a m. But if you want to have a regular m, is this. Okay? So when people ask me, what's the difference between this and this? The answer is that this m sound appears at the beginning of a word or at the middle of a word. But when you want to say m as the last syllable of the word, you use this. And we have 5 sets of them. Okay? We will go over them as we explore the letters. But really, the most important things are these letters to know the hidden meaning behind each and every one of those words. Okay? Okay, so now we did a little bit of an introduction. And we talked about what you're getting in your email boxes, so you can look at them, so you can have these cards. I want to tell you a couple of books that I have been using as many other websites and lessons online and amazing speakers that I was fortunate enough to learn from. So everything that I'm teaching you is not an invention of mine. I want you to know that I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and they are the one who have been teaching me, and now I am delivering this message to you. Okay? And I do it in my own unique way, in my own energy, but it's not original, which is great because I'm original enough. You will find out. So, books that I've been using. So first of all, actually, before I do these 2 books, this is the Torah. Okay? The Torah, by the way, the word Torah refers to the first 5 books of the Bible. Okay? First 5 books. So we're talking about the books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. These are the first books of Torah, and they are in this book. Right here, it says Torah. Okay? Now, I'll tell you later on what the Torah and the Numbers is, and I think it's really fascinating. Okay? So that's one book which I think everybody should own. Maybe not this particular publication, but how would we not want to know what God created and how to be an amazing human beings? I think these lessons are embodied in this text. Okay? But to learn some of the secrets behind it, these are 2 books that I find fabulous, fabulous. And this is The Wisdom of the Aleph Bet, Olam HaOtiyot, the world of letters, okay, Otiyot. And then the other book, which is equally fascinating, is a book by Chaim Shor, who is a professor at the university, he's a scientist. is a professor at a university in Israel. And the way I got to know this book is in 2009, that was a long time ago, okay, and I was much, much, much younger. There was an article in the paper. I'm going to show you the original because I just think it's cool. Okay, so this is the original. It was in the Jerusalem Post, which is a publication of newspapers from Israel. My husband gets that weekly and monthly. So I look at it, I study it. And one of the things, it was in the religion section, and I love religion, so therefore I opened that section. And it's talking about this scientist, Chaim Shor, that started, he was intrigued by looking at the Hebrew words in the Bible and seeing if there's any scientific backup to the word themselves. So for example, okay, he took the word a year. A year in Hebrew, I'll show it to you right now. A year in Hebrew is this word. Shana. It's this word. Shana. And when he took the numerology, let's now take a step back for explaining to you what's a numerology, okay? In Hebrew, we actually call it gematria, okay? Gematria means that every letter has a numerical equivalent. And how, it's not like haphazardly. The Aleph is 1. Bet is 2. Gimel is 3. If you look at your charts, you will see that either this chart that has the numbers right up above, or you can look at it at the chart that I have made, which is this chart, and you can see the numerical value, okay? So, what he discovered is when he looked at the word Shana, and I don't use any vowels, by the way, right? Because in Hebrew, that's the other thing that is fascinating with Hebrew. You don't need vowels in order to read Hebrew. That's a concept that is foreign when you speak English, right? Because if you have the word, let's say, speak, S-P-E-A-K, or you have the word spoke, S-P-O-K-E, if you took the vowels out, you would not know, are you saying speak or are you saying spoke, okay? But in Hebrew, it's a consonant-based language, so it really doesn't matter. The vowels doesn't matter because you understand it from the concept and the context in which that sentence is. So, taking the word Shana and putting the numerical value of Shana, it came that it's equal, and if you add it, you will see, Shin was 300, Nun is 50, and Hey is 5. So it's 355. Now, what's the importance of 355? Well, Judaism uses the lunar calendar for the yearly cycle. In the lunar calendar, there are 355 days of the year. Okay? So when the word Shana was created, and we'll talk about it in just a second, how is it created? The concept of what it means is inside that word. Okay? Now, I want to take a steps backwards a little bit and talk about the letters in general, okay? What does letter mean? The word for a letter is this one, ot. And I'm going to write it actually on this whiteboard, okay? So I'm just copying this, right? It's like this. I'm doing it not as fancy, okay? This is the same, ot, right? And ot means a letter, but it also means a sign. A sign. Every letter is a sign of something that is happening. Now, a second, I want to take one step even before that. The Hebrew language is not a language of accord. And what do I mean by that? It's not like a bunch of people sat together and said, okay, this is how we're going to say I, this is how we're going to say we, this is how we're going to say window, right? The Hebrew language is called Safa Mahutit, is a fundamental language. It was not created by people. It is a God-given language. And the more we realize that God is giving us this language that is a fantastic language, the more we learn what's behind these words, the more we see, oh, an opening into our own mind. Okay, so the word ot is a sign. So all of these letters are actually signs. Okay, what are they signs of? Okay, now I'm going to put this. So by the way, as we go through this, we are going to learn some of these words. And when we do, write on top of it what it means. So the way we pronounce it is ot. Okay? This is what it is. Ot. So you can write it in your Sharpie right here. Okay? If you don't see it well enough, we're going to make it a little bit darker for you so you can see it real well. So, okay, so this is the letter. Oh, this is so much better. Yes. Ot. Okay? This is this. And in English, you pronounce it O-N-T. Ot. Okay? It means letter. But it also means a sign. A sign. Okay? This is the word ot. So now we're ready to go into all the code of letters, the signs of the letters. Now, in the next few hours of learning with me, we will focus on each letter, but we will also try to build words so you can understand something bigger than the actual letter. You can actually make it real and significant in your own life. The first thing I wanted to do, just because it's fun, this word. This word, and I'm going to write it here. The word is mikre. And you see the dots underneath? This is the vowels. These are the red vowels that we're showing here that we're not, it doesn't matter for us. Okay? So I'm going to write the word without the vowels right here on the board. Not in a fancy way again. And you'll learn to see, because, this, it's with a little calligraphy. It looks really nice. This is basic. Mikre. I want to tell you. So, mikre means coincidence. I'll tell you in a second. That's the name of the book with the professor. So, hold on a second. Hold on to that thought. And you remind me, okay? So, mikre means coincidence. But if you look at the letters separately and think of them as signs that have meanings, this word, this letter, means from. This letter means God. This means happen. Happen from God. Coincidence. Now, is it really? Is it really a coincidence? This book by Professor Chaim Shor, which is a fascinating book, really. I mean, it's in a very scientific way, but I think it's fascinating, and I'll share with you some of the things that were written in this book that I think is amazing, okay? But it's called Coincidence in the Biblical Hebrew, in the Bible and in Biblical Hebrew. He has come up with maybe 200 at least instances where he justified from a scientific perspective why the word is this particular word in Hebrew. And for the longest time, I thought to myself, why does he still call it coincidence? Because clearly it's not. How many times do you have to face with something, that something happens to you, and how many times can you say, oh, it's coincidence? When do you say, well, maybe this is actually meant to be? Okay? And the more I learn about Hebrew, and the more I use it, even though I'm born in Israel, raised in Israel, this kind of an understanding only came to me in the last 20 years of me teaching Hebrew and teaching the love of the religion. So then when I studied it, it opened a well of information for me. And I hope I can share with you some of those things. Okay, so we're going to start, now that I did all these beginning work, let's get into learning the first letter. How's that? Okay. So, The first letter is Aleph. I have it actually in a very big way. This is the magnet, and it's gonna go right in here. But then I have it right here in a bigger one, okay? This is Aleph. This is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And because it's the first letter, what do you think the numerical value of it will be? 1. Exactly. Exactly 1. Yes, you're good. You see? You're good. You don't need any more. You are done with the course. No, I'm just kidding. Back to me. So this is the Aleph. But you know what Aleph means? It means a champion. It comes from the word aluf, like somebody who's a general in the army. Okay? Somebody who's really special. There is the concept of divinity in that letter. Okay? There is a godly letter, for sure. It's not the only letter that has God essence in it, but it's the first one. And in Judaism, we say God is one. Right? We say God is one. So for us, this symbolizes one. Now, I want to show you how beautiful this comes to life. So, if we were to write the word Aleph, okay, we're just going to spell it out. Okay? This is A, this is Le, and this is F. Aleph. Okay? If we take the numerical value, Aleph is equal 1. Lamed is equal, if you look at your notes, what does Lamed equal to? So look, everybody look here at these notes here, okay? And you'll see that Lamed equals 30. And what does Fe equal to? So again, look at these notes. I'm going to look at, so we know nobody's making mistake. Is 80. So if you add 80 plus 30 plus 1, 1, 1, 1, 111, okay? It always comes back to 1, okay? Aleph is the first letter. It's the champion letter. Now, it's not only that. There's so much more about Aleph. Literally gives me goosebumps. So here's what I'm going to show you. Every letter in the Hebrew alphabet, I'm going to turn this up here. Every letter in the Hebrew alphabet is said that it's actually comprised from 2 different letters. If you look at Aleph and you just say, what does an Aleph put together? What is that? Hold on, it's just that Hey is right here. Let's put this back in here just so we have it all. So Aleph is actually put, if you were to guess, I'm going to put this away. So Aleph is actually built from a Vav that is slanted, from a Yud that is like this, and another Yud that is like this. And Aleph is actually Vav, which is the 6th letter, and 2 Yuds, which are, if you look at your chart, and you can look at this chart, by the way, to see the numerical, it's all good. And if you need to pause me, I will not be insulted. You can pause me to say, okay, where am I looking at? Where's my chart? Okay, look at that. So you will see that Yud is this letter is equal to 10. Okay, so I'm going to show you something really kind of cool. Are you ready? So Aleph is equal to Vav plus Yud plus Yud. Okay? It's just 2. This is the letter Vav. This is the letter Yud. And this is another one. The numerical value of it, if you add those up, Vav is equal to, let me give you a second to think. What is it equal to? 6. Good. 6. What does Yud equal to? If you look at your chart, what does Yud equal to? 10. Right. And then another 10. What do we get? 10 plus 10 plus 6, what is that? 26. Now, let me take a detour. God has many names, right? God has many names in the Bible. God has many names in the prayer book. In the Jewish prayer book, he has at least 104 names. Okay? But there's one name that is the most important of all. It is known as the Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton is God's most holiest name. It's a name actually that is so holy that we don't pronounce it. Okay, we don't pronounce it, but we write it. And why we don't pronounce it, by the way? When the temple was destroyed, up to that point, once a year, the high priest, and you can look at it in the book of Leviticus, the high priest went into the holiest of holiest. Back then it was the tabernacle. Okay, went into that tabernacle, and then he did a prayer there asking for forgiveness for the entire people. Okay, but since the temple was destroyed, that moment of when the high priest will go to that place that only he went and only once a year, we lost that pronunciation of these names. So some sects, will try, not Jewish, will try to say it, but Jewish people don't say it. Jewish people hold it as a very holy name. So I will write it, but I will say God, okay? Because this is really what we do. We write it the way it's supposed to be written, but we utter it, just say God. Okay. So God's most holiest name, which is known as the Tetragrammaton in Hebrew, is written Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay. This is God's most holiest name. You will see it in the Torah if you read and you look at the Hebrew. Now you can look at the Hebrew and start saying, oh, this is God, right? This is God's name. Okay, and let's add the numbers to it. Yud, 10. Hey, if you look at the Hey, what does the Hey? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vav, as we learned from here, is 6. And then Hey again is 5. What do we get? 26. Aleph, God's name, the concept of divinity is 26. God's most holiest name, 26. When we think of that, and I want to talk to you in just a second about how the Aleph is in each and every one of us. That to me is the cherry on the top of the cake, because you're going to say to yourself, oh my dear God, right? Oh my dear God, this is what I'm capable of. Every one of us is capable of greatness. Every one of us is capable of being a champion. Why? Because each one of us has God inside of us. So now we have to find it. We have to find it and act on it. So we were talking about the Aleph, right? And how it is 26, and it is in the God's most holiest name, Tetragrammaton. And the name of it is Aleph. Now, look at that. That is, I think, one of the most fascinating discoveries that I've had. Every pronoun in Hebrew, and I'm going to take my pen for this, every pronoun in Hebrew, I, you for a boy, you for a girl, we, you all, every one of them has an Aleph in it. So I'm going to show it to you. The word I is ani. That means I. Okay? It has this Aleph in it. Right? The word you, if I was talking to a guy, because in Hebrew it's a gender-based language, so if I say you and I'm talking to David, may be different than I say you if I'm talking to Dina. Okay, so let's say if I'm talking to David, I'm going to say ata, which is this, ata. And I'm actually going to write it in English here in transliteration, ata. And this is ani. Okay, ani is I, ata is you for David. But if I wanted to say you for girl, I will say at. U for girl, and it only will be these two. Okay? If we wanted to say we, it will be אנחנו, and I'm moving it over here. If we want to say we, and I'm writing it in English here, אנחנו. By the way, CH will be pronounced as ch, which is a letter in Hebrew. In English, you don't have that pronunciation, but in Hebrew you do, and it's this letter right here. It's the 8th letter, and we will talk about the 8th letter, which is also super powerful letter. You know what? I'm going to say every letter is powerful, because I've not seen one letter that I disliked. How's that? Okay? So the concept of, if we are looking at the idea of an aleph, of the first, of the champion in each one of us, that to me is so comforting on one hand, but also gives me power from the inside. Now, the word aleph, in the book of Judges, there is, in the book of Judges, I think chapter 13, verse 19 or 18, let me see, I'm actually having it here. It is chapter 13, verses 18, it says, and Hanoch was asking God, what's your name? So when people ask me, I know what's your name. And he says, I'm going to read it to you in Hebrew. And in English, I'll repeat it. It says, ויאמר לו מלאך אדוני, למה זה תשאל לשמי והוא פלאי? And in English it says, what is your name, so that we receive another message through you, we will honor you. And then the angel of the Eternal answered him, why do you ask about my name? For it is concealed. Now, look at the word concealed and the word aleph. I have it right here. The word aleph is the first one, and the word concealed is this word backwards. So, I'm going to write it in bigger here. Aleph is the first letter, but if you do it backwards, starts with, so it's backwards, right? You flip the letters, you get concealed. The name of God, the concept of God, is concealed from the view of the mind, of the eyes of human being. That reminds me of something that is also fantastic. How do you say the word world? I'll tell you, in case you don't know. So it says olam, and I'm going to write it here. Olam. And I'm going to write it in Hebrew as well. Okay? Olam. That's the word for world. Okay? Olam equals world. Now, most people, when they think of the word, they say, oh, okay, that's world. Now what? And I said, no, look at the letters. If you take these letters, which, by the way, the Hebrew language is, unlike English, it's a root-based language. What does that mean? That every word has 3 consonants that are the building block of that word. And with that 3 consonant building block, you can build other words. So the word olam, which means a world, also shares the same root as the word hidden. Olam could also mean ne'elam, which means hidden. Okay? So what we are learning here, in a fantastic way, yet one more example of how everything that we see in the world, we see only a fraction of it. And scientists actually will tell you that the human eye can only see 4 to 6% of what's out there. So for example, you can't see colors in the air, but there are. Okay? We are not able to see them. Most of what is in this world is hidden from us. And the way we learn, and the more we delve into the spirituality aspect, then we more are being open up to us. Another thing, and I almost fell, but it's all good. I survived. And that's what happens when you record. You may survive things. That is amazing. Okay, I want to show you this word, which is taking a step back, but just to talk to you about it. Lehagot, and I'm going to write it here. We're going to go through these pages really quickly here, but that's okay because I have another packet. So the word lehagot, which is right here, it means to think, to contemplate, to meditate. Okay? Lehagot, and I'm going to write it in English. So when you get your word like this, right, and you cut it like this for you, so you have your own card, you're going to write on it to meditate. Meditate. Think, reflect. Do you know, remember I told you that the Hebrew is a root-based language, which means there's 3 consonants that build this. And usually those 3 consonants are central. 1, 2, sometimes the taf is there, sometimes it's hidden. But look at that word. Hege, hege, and I'm going to write it in English here. Hege means a steering wheel. Like steering wheel in a car. Like steering wheel in a car. So, how do you think, what do you think the connection between to meditate and steering wheel? You would think, if you said it in English, you're like, nothing, no connection whatsoever. I want you to think deeper. What is the connection between driving and between meditating? I think you will come up with a lot of beautiful insights. But how you drive, where you're going, is extremely important as you think, as you meditate, as you contemplate. Where am I going? Your life is not, bunch of coincidences, right? Put into place. There's thought into it. And the more you meditate and think and study and prepare yourself, the more your direction will be clear. You will know where you're driving. You'll just know where you're driving, if it's the right fit or not the right fit, if it's where you need to be or not need to be, if you need to take a right turn, a left turn, right? So thinking as you're driving, okay? And I wanted to share this because I just think it enriches this, okay? So we just went into the Aleph and Pel'i, right? Chanoch in the book of Judges. And what's my name? And God says, I'm a mystery. I'm a mystery. And there's other stories with Moshe, right? Moses wanted to see God's face. And God said, the most you can do, the most I can do for you is I'm going to walk and I'm going to put my hand on your face as I'm walking. You're not to see my face, right? Which is, by the way, face. See, it reminds me. So I'm always jumping into, and that word. How do you say face in Hebrew? I'm going to share it with you. It's not connected at all to what I was going to do next, but I'm going to do a side tour here. Panim is face. And it says, I'm going to write it in English. Hold on. Okay. Face in English. Okay. Face. And in Hebrew you say panim. Panim, right? Is the way you say this. Panim, face. But in Hebrew, panim, the word panim comes from pnim, which means the inside of a person. The inside of a person. So your face shows your inside. Your inside shines out to your panim. By the way, the word panim in English, the word face, comes from Latin, and that means your mask. The actual meaning of the word face is mask. So look at the different ideas between Hebrew and other languages. Hebrew, if you know Hebrew, then your face is going to project what you have inside. Think about you walking around in the world, And I bet you know people when they're unhappy and miserable because you can see them on their face. You can say, I have known few people in my life that I affectionately call them bag of miseries because I'm like, oh my God, they look so miserable. In our life, we want to be happy. We want our inside to show in the most beautiful way outside, right? And that's a gift. And that's something you have to work on. It's not something that is just going to happen, right? So this is panim, face, inside. Okay, that's a little side note. Okay, moving along to the aleph. I'm not done with the aleph. I know, this is going to be like the longest letter ever. And it probably is going to take the longest. But I just think it's so amazing. Okay, so what is the first human being? And I'm flipping the chart once again. How do we say the first human? And I think in English and in Hebrew, it's very similar. How do we say it? Adam, right? In Hebrew, it's Adam. Okay? It uses this. Adam. Adam. And in English, Adam. This is the A, this is the D, this is the M. And if we write it this way, right? Remember, we write right to left. Adam. So, you say to yourself, I'm going to put this aleph down here for a second. This aleph, as we talked about, is that spark of divinity. It's the oneness. It's the God element inside a human being. So what's dam? Dam, by itself, means blood. Blood plus God equals a human being. A human being without God in him is just the physical part, just blood. Nothing. Now, let's look at the numerical value. The numerical value, again, it's the value of each letter. And you could see it in this chart. In this chart, you can see it in this chart, right? And you can see that the aleph is 1. I'll put 1 like this, 1. Dalet is 4, it's the 4th letter. And mem is 40. So all of it added together is what? 45, right? 45. Now, who gives us the blood? Mom and dad, right? Mom and dad. Mom and dad. Dad. Av is dad. M is mom. Av, let's do some gematria, some numerology. Av equals to 1 plus 2 equals to 3. M equals 1 plus 40 equals 41. You add those two together, you get 44, which is dam. Mom and dad give you that blood. Then you add 1 and you get a human being. A human being without the concept of God is just the physical part. Adam is built on the physical component and the spiritual component. Where do we get the physical component? Mom and dad. Where do we get the spiritual component? From God. Okay, Adam is both of them. And it says, that Adam had the knowledge to name all the animals. In the book of Genesis, if you look at chapter 1 and chapter 2, he knew how to name all the animals. Why? Because Adam had the insight to look at reality, because that's part of what is incredible about the Hebrew language. You look at the reality, and then you look at the letters, and you know which letters fit with that reality. Right? The Hebrew letters, each and every letter has an energy facet in it. Okay? And that energy facet can come in different ways. So one, by the shape of the letter, it gives you that energy. Number two, by the numerology of it, by the number of it, by the gematria of it. Number three, by where they appear in the Torah, in our first 5 books of Moses. Okay? And by the meaning of the actual word, like the Aleph is a champion. Okay? So, I want us to sit with that for a second, and I want you to reflect on it. You know, I think it will be a great idea for you to have a journal where you will write notes, or you can write it on the side of the page where you're writing notes right now. And ask yourself, what is it in my existence that show godliness? What is it in my existence that I'm just tuned to the physicality of the world? And see if you can increase or decrease, right? Life is about balance. Life is about balance. Life is about knowing when one thing is too much and do a steering wheel, right? Steer it along the way of where you want to go. Okay. Adam is I think a beautiful place to start. Now, I want to talk about inside the Adam, there is a neshama. Neshama, as a matter of fact, is this word right here. Neshama. I mean, here I just wrote it vertically down, but I'm going to write it horizontally as the real word. Inside a human being, there's a soul. A human being cannot function without a soul. They can function without their body. I mean, they can still be, you can be paralyzed, or you can be, God forbid, in an accident, but you can still exist. The minute your neshama, your soul, leaves your body, you can't exist, okay? Which is fascinating how it is hidden from us. Talk about the hidden part, right? How so many things are hidden from us. Our soul is hidden from us. The only way we know that we have a soul is by acting upon it, is by what do you do in your life. Yeah? So let's talk about the word neshama for a second. The way you write it is ne-sha-ma. And the way you say it is ne-sha-ma. Okay? And it means a soul. It means a soul. Now, what really it means? What does it really mean? The nun, and you will see it. I wrote it in a not a fancy way, but this is probably more similar to this. This is the nun right here. And I'm going to put it right here also. Let me put this away so then we can pick new words. Ne, sha, ma. Okay, this goes away. Because remember, the vowels don't make a difference as we read. Okay. Neshama. Neshama is your soul. The nun, and we will look at it again as we come back to this letter. Neshama, the nun is symbolizing faithfulness. The numerical value is 50. It is talking about wisdom. The nun is showing you the level of wisdom a person gets from the time they are born until the end of their days. Okay? The wish and the hope is that each one of us reaches those 50 gates. Okay? The letter Hey, which is the 5th letter of the alphabet, is representing God in this world. Okay? Not just God in any entity, like future and past and present, but in this world. What do we have left? We have these 2 left. And I'm going to come back here. These 2 are left. These two together means either name or it means something else, but let's do the name first. What's the name you are creating for yourself when you have a wisdom and when you know God in this world? What is the name that you create for yourself? And when you do that, you live up to your name. Have you ever heard of, oh, I'm going to live up to my name, right? Whatever your parents give you a name, and it's a fantastic name, and you really connect with that name, which, by the way, Judaism has a whole big section in our studies about the importance of a name, of when you are given a name, live to it, live up to your name. And most names are fabulous names, but how do you live up to your name? So this is the word for name, Shem, right? Shem, which by the way, was a biblical figure, right? Shem, Ham, and Yefet, they are the children of Noach, right? And from Shem came all the Judaism and therefore everybody else, right? Shem. So the name is super important. And when we live in Judaism, believe that when we live in this life, we create ourselves the name that could then be a crown to us as we move on. A crown to us when we move on. And I saw this crown here, and I just love that, by the way. I just love that crown over there. Okay, so this is Shem. On the other hand, if we look at the Shem, inside with the wisdom and in this world, we can either have the Mem, which stands for water, or we can have the Shin, which stands for fire. Inside of our soul, we have the duality. And every person has that duality. Are we going to have water, or are we going to have fire, or how we are going to balance it? A life with only water may not be so good. A life with only fire could be miserable. Balancing the water and the fire, which is two opposite elements inside you, creates an incredible human being. In Judaism, we say that each person has the Yetzer HaTov, the good inclination, and the Yetzer Hara, the people say bad inclination, but I want to say the challenging inclination. And each one of us has it. So the good inclination is doing acts of kindness, feeding the poor, right? Helping your mom and dad, respecting people, being kind to humanities, to animals. The evil inclination is more of the challenging aspect in a human being. It's the competitiveness in us. It's the sexual drive that is in us. And that's a good thing. But the question is, how do we balance it? Right? Life is about balance. Again, going back to the steering wheel. How do we steer? How do we meditate? We contemplate to make sure we get to the right place. That's all of what I'm talking about. And I'm really glad that I brought it into this conversation. The steering wheel, the hege, right? And if you go look back at your cards, you will find it in somewhere. Well, don't have it right in this second, but somewhere. So you'll find that, and you'll know that that's it. I wanted to go back to another concept that I wanted to make sure I cover. God's most holiest name. I think that if I don't do that, we will miss quite a bit. So, this is God's most holiest name. We call it the Tetragrammaton. Why is it the most holiest name? We talked about it. It was in the tabernacle, and then in the temple, and then the temple was destroyed. But there's more to it. It wasn't because only that. This word actually shows God in the transcendent aspect of God. What does that mean? If you take these letters and you arrange them in a different way, you get 3 words that are amazing. So let's do that together, okay? If I take these, and maybe I'll do it in different colors. So if I take these words, hove, I get the word present. Like in the present time, like now. If I take this letter, this letter, and inside of it put this, we create haya. That means was. Okay? Was. If I take, let's see, green, if I take this, another one of these, and this, I get I, he, ye. And that means will be. Okay? God's most holiest name is encompassing present, past, and future. So when we talk about transcendent God, this is what we talk about. This is it. And then I thought to myself, I will be remiss if I will skip that and not mention that. Not that we don't have another 3 hours together, but just in case, I wanted to make sure that you know it. So now we're going to move on to something else. Back to Adam. Are you ready to go back to Adam? I hope so. All right. So back to Adam. Adam. I want you to think of how is a person measured? By what? This, look at it as acronym. Okay, acronym. The mem is for the word ma'aseh. Ma'aseh means deed. Deeds. What do? Daled stands for dibur. And actually, I'm going to write it in transliteration. Ma'aseh. Daled, dibur, which means speaking. And aleph for emet, truth. Adam, human being, stands for emet, truth, for speaking and for doing. Think about it in your life. How you're bringing who you are, what you say, and what you do into the complete you. So here is one more thing about the letter Aleph. The way we write it, and I'm going to write it again, because it's the first letter, I think it's the most fascinating and it's so important, as I will say about the other letters, but this is really takes the most time. So Aleph is spelled like this. Now, instead of this is one of the final letters. Remember how I told you that there are 5 letters in the alphabet that have pairs, right? That have their final letters. So Fe, which is right here, has a final Fe, which is this. As you can see, these two, they look somewhat alike. Just this leg flips down. Okay? So when do we use final letters? At the very end of the word. But because I'm talking about root letters, I stay away from writing it as a final. The proper way, if I would really want to write an Aleph, is I will write it with a Fe Sofit. But because I'm trying to teach you the concept and the energy and the meaning of the word itself, the letters, I just use the regular. Okay? Aleph. This is A-Le-F. Aleph. Okay? This two, El, means God. God. It's one. Remember I told you that there's 104 names for God? El is one of them. Okay. Fe, the meaning of Fe is mouth, meaning speaking. So what does the word Aleph really embodied, God is speaking. Now, if you have it, like we all do, in our pronoun, we say, I love ice cream. I eat breakfast. Maybe you should think I'm hungry, but I'm actually not. But I something, I and then a verb. God is speaking. God is speaking. Every time you use an aleph inside a word, there is a concept of God, concept of spirituality. So for example, the word Evel, which means like this in transliteration, Evel, okay? This means, the bal part means without. Without the spirit. Without the spirit. You know what Evel means? Mourning. Like when you mourn for somebody's death, right? Somebody died and you're mourning. That's the word Evel, without the spirit. Somebody whose spirit left them. Same thing, let's do another letter. Zevel. Zevel. Okay? This is vel, means without. What is the zayin? The zayin is this letter. This letter is the zayin. I'm going to show it to you in big letters. I'm jumping onto another letter right now because I want you to see it in a clearer way. Okay? This is the letter zayin. And the numerical value of the letter zayin, if you look at your chart, is 7. 7 is a completion. The world was created in 7 days. There is, a lot of symbolism of 7. Okay? So it also means nourishment. It also means sword. If you look at the first time the letter zayin appears in the Torah, in the Bible, it's in the word zera, which means a seed. Okay? This is known as a masculine letter. There's also a letter that's known as a feminine letter. Maybe we will not get to it this session, but the next session we will. Okay? So this is nourishment. So if we go here and we think, okay, so what does the word zevel means? We break apart the word. We say the vel means without. Without, right? Same as without here. Without nourishment. What is something without nourishment? Garbage. Zevel means garbage. Without nourishment. Without something to nourish it. Okay? So I think you got the idea of how fantastic the Hebrew language is with looking at the Aleph. We talked a lot about the Aleph being a champion, being the first letter, being the concept of godliness in us, in each and every one of us. Right? The word for I am is ani. We talked about that before. I want to go into another letter, and that's the letter Bet. That is the second letter of the alphabet. Yay, we've graduated. We're now into the second letter. Yay. With this kind of rate, we will be together for 10 hours. But no, I promise it will get a little bit faster. But the good news is that you can replay me over and over again within the week, and you can listen to it as many times as you can, and write yourself questions or comments on the side. So when we see each other on live, you can ask me, you can talk to me, it will be wonderful. So the letter Bet, which by the way, could be with a dot or without. Okay, it's just a pronunciation, but the letter itself is the framing here. Okay, it's the second letter. It's the second letter of the alphabet. So therefore, the numerical value is 2. Right? The numerical value of Bet is 2. It is also the first word that starts the Torah. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I want to show you something that is really cool. First of all, there's a little story that I want to tell you. So when God decided to write the Torah, it chose the letter bet to start it. Because bet starts the word blessing. And I wrote it right here. It's in one of your cards. This card means blessing. So God said, I want my Torah to start with the word blessing. So it started. And the Aleph, there's a midrash. A midrash is a story that the rabbis made up to explain certain things. And Aleph was insulted. It's like, what? You didn't choose me to start? I'm the first letter. How can you not choose me to start the Torah? And God said, Aleph, I see you're very insulted. I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to make it up to you in a way that will be amazing. And this is how. When I'm going to give the 10 commandments, the first 2 commandments, the first commandment is going to start with Aleph. So later on, we're going to see how the 2 commandments are different from the rest of the commandments in the Torah. Okay? But this is the Aleph, and the Aleph says, oh, okay. If I'm going to start the 10 commandments, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of bondage in Egypt, I'm going to be okay. So the bet is what starts the Torah. Now, look at the bet. There's a beautiful, it stands for the word house, bait. The first time, if you look at your chart here, you will see that the first word where the bet appears on its own right, that means the code of letters, because the word Bereshit means in the beginning, so there's a preposition there. But if you take the letter bet, and you say where in the Torah it appears the first letter of a word on its own right, it's in the word created, bara, which also happened in Genesis 1. Okay? So it stands for a house. To have a house, what's the benefit of a house? It's solid. It gives you solid foundation, right? It says a solid foundation. The concept and what our rabbis are teaching us, that bet is looking toward the future. Look at the bet here. It's looking toward the rest. There is a tiny little thing that's sticking out. So that means what happens before is important, but it's not the main deal. It's not the main story. The main story in your life, from that point on, you can look at what happened. You can maybe learn from it, but not dwell on what happened, right? Don't dwell on what happened in your life before that. Look forward to the future. Look into this letter, and look into this letter, and look into this letter, and so on. And each letter is beautiful on its own right. So this is the bet. From the word bracha, blessing, it's the second letter of the Aleph bet. And if we talk about, remember how it says Evel, Zevel. Let's look at this letter. Ba, this is my ba. Vel. Bavel, it will say Bavel. Bavel. Do you know what Bavel is? It's the Hebrew word for Babylon. Or in the Torah, where in the Genesis, when there was 70 languages, how did they spread to be 70 languages? They tried to build a tower all the way up to the sky, and it becomes Babel. The Tower of Babel is Bavel. But look at the words. Look at the words. Bel means without, and bet means a home or a house. Without a house is Babel. There's nothing, there's no connection, there's diaspora. Jews, when we say the Jews are in the diaspora, they're in Bavel, without a home. Without a home. That's Bavel. We're moving on to, I would like to tell you something else that is kind of cool. This word. I know I'm jumping, but I want to make sure that I get that on the first lesson because it's beautiful. So this word, and I'm going to open it up. And then after this, we're going to do a review of all of these very quickly, go through the charts, okay? But this word, and I'm going to write it here. This stands for M, this is Z, this is L. The word is mazal. Okay? The word is mazal. So you have this in your cardstock. Write on it mazal. Mazal means luck. Luck. So, or, when somebody has an happy occasion, you say, you congratulate them. Jewish people say mazal tov, a good luck, right? That's how we say it. And you guys say congratulations, or, right? But if you want to use the Hebrew, all the power to you. So you say mazal tov. Now, what the word mazal means? Mem, we talked about it at the beginning. It's signed from water. Water. Zal means dripping or coming down. Water or energies in the spiritual realm, energies dripping down. That's what luck is. Energies from up above coming down on us. I want you to think of your life and how lucky you are by having these moments of energy that are positive energies that are coming to you and acknowledging them in this most beautiful way. Now, Jewish people, at the beginning, when we wake up, first thing when we wake up, is we say a particular blessing. We say, Moda ani lefanecha, melech chai vekayam, shehechezarta bi nishmati, bechemla rabba emunatecha. What it means is, thank you, God. So, it means Moda ani, thank I. The word thank comes before the I, which is really kind of interesting because the rest of the Hebrew language, just like English, the first is the pronoun, I thank you. I eat breakfast. I'm going to eating. Don't know why, but back to eating. And then so it's always the pronoun is first, but not when it comes to thanking God. The first thing we utter in the morning. What we say, the first thing is having a sense of gratitude, right? So we say moda, moda, which means in transliteration, it will be like this. Because I'm a girl, so I'm saying moda. A man will say modeh, okay? Moda, and then ani is the I. Thank I before you, God, that you returned to me back the neshama. Neshama is the soul I was teaching you a little bit short time ago. Is the soul that is inside each and every one of us. So when we are sleeping, according to tradition, we are 1/60th of death. I know, it's kind of cool. I'll teach you a little bit more about it next time in our next lesson. But the concept that our neshama is gone and here's just our bodies. And then the minute or second or split second before we wake up, the neshama comes back into our bodies. And then we say, Moda ani, thank I you, God. Okay? I want to move on so this was mazal. Let's have the energies coming and dripping over you. And really, this is my wish for you in a first lesson of us together, is that you will feel that there's a neshama that you have that is so beautiful, and that you have energies that are dripping from up above to you and fill your days with just beautiful things. So I'm moving on to the next word. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of truth and not truth, which means lie, okay? And I chose truth because it starts with the letter Aleph, which I know I moved to Bet and I talked about Bet, but then I'm thinking, I'm not done with Aleph. So I'm going to do one more thing, okay, with Aleph. We have time, right? Yes. Okay. Emet. I'm going to write it here in a very big letters. Emet. Okay, we can see that. Emet means emet. This is the E piece. This is the M piece. This is the T piece. Emet. Okay? Emet. And that's equal truth. we talked about what is the Aleph symbolizes. The concept of God in us, in a situation, right? What does the word met, the rest of it, what does met means? Dead. Dead. Truth without an Aleph is death, doesn't mean anything. Okay? Truth without it. Now, when our rabbis said, the letters, everything in the Torah is true. And why is it true? Because look at the letters next to it. Now, you know what? Before that, let's do the gematria, the numerology of emet. Okay? Emet. So Aleph equals 1. Mem equals 40. Taf equals 400. Together it's 441. If you add those numbers together, 4 plus 4 plus 1, you get 9. Right? What's special about the number 9? I think I learned it in primary school in Israel, but I'm sure you've learned it in America. As a matter of fact, my kids, I think, learned it in America. That every time you multiply 9 times something else, you get 9. So, for example, 9 times 2 is equal 18, but if you add 1 and 8, you get 9. Okay? 9 times 3 is equal 27, but if you add the two of them up, you get 9. And so on and so on and so on. It will always add 9. The Torah, the Bible, the first 5 books of Moses is emet. It's true. Why? Because, pay attention to this one. If you get bet, which is the first letter of the Torah, gimel, daled, and you add them up, you will get something special. Bet is equal 2 plus 3 plus 4. What is it equal? You got it. 9. Truth. If you take, according to that, because why did I take Bet, Gimel, and Dalet? Because it was the order of the letters. I started with the first letter of the Torah, and I got Bet, Gimel, Dalet. Now the next 3 are going to be Hey, Vav, Zain. The next 3, Chet, Tet, Yud. The next 3, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, which is right here. Okay? So let's do that only for a couple of them, just so you can get the flavor of it. Okay? And you're welcome to continue to do that at home and do, oh my gosh, I'm doing math. Bet, Gimel, Daled. The next one, Hey, Vav, Zain, Chet, Tet, Yud. We'll just do these 3. Okay? So Hey equals 5, Vav 6, 7. What is it equal to? 18. What is that equal to? When you add it, 9. Chet, 8, 9, 10. What is it equal to? 27. What if you add those 2 up, you get 9. Does that make sense, what I'm doing? Yeah? Okay. Now, that means the Torah could not be anything else but truth. Now, look at the word truth. You know, have you heard the phrase in English where it says, you don't have, how do you say it? You don't have a truth to stand on? You don't have a leg to stand on? Something like that, right? This is the non-native Hebrew, non-native American speaker, right? But look at the word, just physical. Just look at the word itself. The Aleph is very solid. It has both legs. Look at that. It has both legs. It's not going anywhere. It's not wobbly. It's not shaking. It's very solid. Okay? Mem has a big base here. Okay? For water, right? Solid. Doesn't go anywhere. The letter Taf, which is the last letter of the Aleph Bet. Again, solid. Has both. It's not going anywhere. The word emet is existing. It's standing on both of its legs. On the other hand, the word sheker, right here, the word sheker which means lie, the opposite of truth. If you take the word sheker, and I'm going to write it in transliteration, sheker. Okay, this is the sh, this is the k, this is the r. Okay, sheker. If you take sheker, you get the value of not 9, but of 6. And 6 is everything but not truth. Okay, so let's look at it. Shin is 300. Kuf is 200. No, 3. Wait a second. Shin is 300. Kuf resh. Kuf resh. This is 200 and this is 100. And what do we get? 600. 6 plus 0 plus 0 equals 6. If we say, oh, let's take then, if the Torah starts with Aleph, let's say, and if we go Aleph plus Bet plus Gimel, and we do, instead of starting it in the right place, we started with Aleph, we get 6. If we start with Aleph plus Bet plus Gimel, we get 6. Daled, Hey, Vav will be 6. Zayin, Chet, Tet will come down to 6 again. So you can do this in your math at home and figure out. That is incredible. Truth is always, always prevails over lie. Okay? Also, when you look at the word for lie, I wrote the shin with the long base, but I want to show you how the shin, actually you can see it from this. If you can zoom into here, you can see that it's, the word sheker is very not balanced. It's wobbly. There's only one leg on each letter where it stands on. Okay? Let's look at it in a little bit of a bigger format. Okay, sheker. Here you go. It is, this is the first letter. I'm going to show it in the big one. This is the second letter. And that's the third letter. Sheker. Do you see how it cannot possibly be solid? It doesn't have a leg to stand on. And that's lie. So I hope that as you study with me for the next 2 lessons, that you will see the truth comes to life one time, and again one time, and another time, and another time. So we have a few more minutes to do more things. Ken? Yes? 5 minutes. Oh, I want to tell you something that is really kind of cool. Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay. So, when a magician does his magic, what does he say? Like if he wants to put something out of a bag, like a bird, a dove, outside of, what does he say? He says probably, abracadabra, right? Abracadabra, woohoo, you got, well, look at that. Okay, this is abra, this is cadabra. Abracadabra. What does it actually mean? Different color, because this is so cool. The Aleph stands for that God. Bara means create. Ka means as. Spoke. God create as he spoke. It is actually, the word abracadabra is coming from a book that's called Sefer HaYetzirah, that according to Jewish tradition was written by Abraham. Okay? It is not an invention that is recent. It's interesting that all languages say abracadabra, not knowing that it actually stems from the Hebrew language. I will create as I speak. Now, you know that if you look at Genesis, how did the world got created? By God speaking, by God saying, and let there be light, and there was light. And let there be whatever, and here it was created. So think of our realities. Now, Jewish people learn that we are created, and that human beings are created in the image of God. In the image of God. What does that mean, to be created in the image of God? Because clearly we don't have God's face, right? We talked about how when Moses wanted to see God's face, God said, you are not going to see my face, because if you see my face, you die, right? So I'm going to put my hand over, because I'm going to forever be hidden from you. This world, while you can see the world, some of it are aspects of mystery. It will always be mystery. God's name is Pele. We talked about that also before. So if God can create as he speaks, so can we. So can we. We can create the reality of what we want to achieve in life. Okay? Whatever it is that you want to create, you speak it, you do it. We talked about the fact of Adam. What is Adam? Is the person, the speaking, and the actions. Okay? So when you want to get something to be a reality for you, say to yourself, Abra, Kadabra. Abra, Kadabra. God will create, but the Aleph is part of you, right? It's in the Ani. I will create as I speak. Now, in our next lesson, we're going to talk about this word bara, because this create is not exactly the way we can create. God creates something from darkness. We cannot create darkness. So, for example, we have a different word for a person creating, and that's Yatzar. I'm going to write it here, but next lesson we're going to talk about that. Okay? God, and I'm writing it in English here. God can do bara. We can do Yatzar. We're going to talk about it next week. Now, I would like to review just very quickly. Do we have some time to review? We don't have time to review, so you know what? I will start that on our next lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a great time with me. I sure had a great time with you. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.